awesome.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Yeah, since we talked last, something major has happened. Something massive, something is big, right? Remember that old soap opera, As the World Turns? This is As the World Burns. Right, put on your frickin' seatbelt because it's go time, folks. Incoming! HTF. In a massive reversal of their stated policy, folks, the German MOD, the Ministry of Defense, announced that delivery of anti-aircraft tanks into Ukraine has now been approved. Now, formerly, folks, the German leader, who I like to call Ascholz, German Scholz, the leader, said the following, and this is a translation that I didn't do. Quote, "We need to do everything to avoid a direct military confrontation between NATO and a heavily armed superpower such as Russia, a nuclear power. I will do everything to avoid an escalation that could lead to World War III. There can be no nuclear war." Now, further, he added last week, to avoid an escalation towards NATO is a top priority for me. That's why I don't focus on polls or let myself be irritated by shrill calls. The consequences of an error would be dramatic. You bet they would. This is a huge reversal because he was adamant that he couldn't be persuaded with shrill calls. And literally, who could call Chancellor Scholz with a shrill voice like a harpy screaming, "No"? Who could do that? Are other politicians, were they calling him with shrill voices? Well, he said he would stay focused, not allow polls to get him or shrill calls through. So interesting, huh? So what changed between last week and this week? What changed? Why is Germany sending in anti-aircraft tanks now? Let's see. Russia won't fly into their range with jets that could be hit by these anti-aircraft tanks. But they could target them from satellite or high-altitude reconnaissance jets and take them out easily, folks, easily with anti-tank artillery or hypersonic missiles. Could Chancellor Scholz, the German military high command, I know that sounds kind of like World War II Nazi talk, could the rest of NATO not understand that that is the most likely outcome for this? So, I asked the question, was this to provoke Putin? Well, 99% chance of that Scholz sold out to the pressure, likely with a big guy bonus to his Swiss bank account. But I tell you what, it's not like this isn't an understood maneuver. Like when you're playing chess or even little kid checkers, you can see, you're like, dude, if you make that move, I'm going to double jump you. Don't do it. It's right there on the board. Everyone sees it. You make this move, you've had it. They made the move, folks, or at least they've announced that they're making the move. What are they going to do? Sneak in a truckload of guns inside, I don't know, smart cars or Yugos while Putin is watching the trains, right? Now, let's just assume that they're being honest about their moves. And they've been pretty much, I would say, honest and even telegraphing. This is literally telegraphing their next move, the NATO side. Once those German tanks, folks, cross into Ukraine, they are fair targets in the war. Putin stated that he's going to start targeting munitions and supplies coming. In fact, just yesterday, what was it? Somewhere, anywhere from like 9 to 12 different areas were targeted, taking out trains, rail stations, and rail lines. Hello, what did Putin get an advance notice of this change in policy? And he's like, hey, we had a spy in the cabinet saying this is coming, so let's bomb their shit now. Anyways, Putin knows that they're fair targets, and NATO knows they're fair targets if they try this. And whoever is transporting these tanks knows that they are sitting ducks, folks, sitting ducks. This isn't World War II where you can have a fighting chance to avoid a bombing barrage on a rail line. I mean, talk about a dangerous job, deadly job, right? It's transporting things by rail in a war. Right. This will, folks, this will force Putin to take action or look really weak and risk Russian military lives and personnel and equipment. If they allow these tanks into the country, they can't allow it. And plus, Putin does not want to look weak. He doesn't want to look weak to Voldemort Zelensky. He doesn't want to look weak to the World Economic Forum. He doesn't want to look weak to NATO, because if they do, the mainstream media will go off the hook. Putin retreats. Putin losing war. Putin out of military armaments to attack. Right? They could run with this every which way if Putin doesn't act, no matter what he does. Or I should say, no matter what actions he doesn't take, if he doesn't live up to his promise to start shelling incoming supplies. And he'll do that, folks. I have no doubt. No doubt. But he has no choice. He is left with no choice. And again, if he were to try doing nothing and allow these tanks in, even the Russian people would be like, hey, Vlad, what the hell, man? Thought we were there to get rid of the Nazis. I thought we were there to protect Russian ethnic peoples living in Ukraine. It's interesting. There's ethnic Russians living in Ukraine as if they're actually totally different cultures, and they actually kind of are. But they're still the same peoples, right? It's not like they're people from China and people from Africa, and people from Scandinavia, where they look the same. Oh, I guess that's probably racist of me to say that Ukrainians look like Russians. Clearly, everyone knows they look different. I don't know. Anyways, so this will force Putin to take action or look weak, and he'll be attacked for any of that. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if he allows them to get to a choke point, a convergence of rail lines, and take out as many tanks and as many rail cars and as many rail lines with the least amount of effort. Expect some strategy from Putin. He may even let the West say he's weak and he's out of rounds and he's this and he's that, and NATO to think, "Whoa, we got him. He's scared now," and then totally obliterate in a massive retaliatory strike. Expect Putin to take the best move. Now, let's send tanks from Germany in. This will make people worry about nuclear war risk. I mean, that's what Scholz was saying last week, is we have to avoid World War III. We have to avoid a nuclear exchange. Well, Germany is very close to Russia. It's like it is on the doorsteps to the Eastern Bloc nations and Russia. They've always been there. That's how they were used in World War II in the run-up through the 30s. They were funded by American and British fascist banks. Union Trust Bank, New York City. Anyone? They were funded by them. So yeah, to counter the Russian communists. Now everyone kind of has forgotten the word communist, and it's just bad Russian. But people are going to worry about nuclear war. Okay, now this will solidify the Cold War relationship between Germany and Russia, making the World Economic Forum, the globalists, happy. You see, Germany just a few months ago, folks, was telling the United States of America and the rest of the European Union No, 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 no. We don't care. We're going to buy Russian oil and gas. Against the wishes of the West. They were like, no, we need this. We have to have this. We can't live without this stuff. We're screwed. We need their energy. We're being green, and we can't continue to burn coal. Well, interesting, huh? Interesting. Yeah, this Cold War between, well, obviously the United States and NATO and the European Union, right, it has now solidified Germany. Even though, wasn't it Deutsche Bank that just, 3 weeks ago said, hey, we're not pulling out of Russia. We've got our banking cartel inside Russia, and we're going to stay there and do some business. I think that's all going to change. There was some interesting news about Deutsche Bank and their silver, that they're selling off their assets to pay their bills, that Western banking institutions are in big, big trouble. Well, let us move on, right? Sending tanks in. This will ensure Germany will be 99% cut off of Russian gas, coal, gas, coal, and oil, right? The people of Germany, folks, will suffer and suffer and suffer because Scholz sold out. He sold out Germany. He sold out the people. The people will not, folks, blame Putin, but they will blame Putin. And the media will play that tune all day long, that this is Putin's fault. Look what Putin's doing. Putin's cutting you off, etc. Well, Scholz sent tanks into Ukraine to be used against Russian people, Russian military, Russian interests, Russian security. That's how the Russians see it. Russia, Russia, Russia. Folks, this will make China happy to see German tanks going into Ukraine. As the weakened West, as the weakened military sends its little military equipment, what it has, to be destroyed in a fish in the barrel shooting gallery, China's going to say, hey, its adversaries, its opponents around the world are going to have less in case of Taiwan or other, shall we say, Chinese moves. For the United States of America, guaranteed problems in our economy, our finance, our infrastructure, supply lines, and even production will persist. And Russia can hurt us even more, folks, by instantly cutting off what resources are still in transport here. That's right. The United States of America is still getting some Russian oil, still getting other Russian goods. Even though it's reduced, it could be cut off completely. Turn those ships around. It's a card that Putin holds. Russia, folks, and China have been planning for this effort by NATO and the U.S. government and the World Economic Forum for years now. They have felt the pressure, and they've also heard the calls for the Great Reset. And here it is. Are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Have a plan. Go to thepreparedmind.club. It's not going to get better. This is a huge escalation. SHTF, it's incoming. Thankfully, we're not being shelled over here. The sandbox that's being wrecked is called Ukraine, and it's intentionally being escalated. Prayers for the world. Godspeed to you. Semper Fi, and chance favors the prepared mind is yours.